And so here's, to answer your question, the biggest thing for me was a place to become vulnerable as a man. I'm not talking that we have to get on our hands and knees and weep and cry and to feel all the things that, the world wants to tell us to feel. But just the ability for me to open up to somebody else across from me and say, hey, I do struggle. I do have issues. I do feel this way. I do think about this often. And for that to be the desire of this man to get to know me more.
Yeah.
Was something now that I've taken with me for the rest of my life. And my friendships have gotten deeper because those same kind of conversations exist weekly for me.
Happy Friday to you. This is the Men Are Forged podcast. I'm your host, Cartwright Morris. That was a clip from my interview posted this Monday with Ben Higgins. Me and Ben, we had a great conversation. Talked a lot about his story. What's really unique about that comment is he was talking about being on the show, and actually that confrontation he had was with the producer from the show. So I know I've thought this, that you think about The Bachelor, and it is very more superficial. It's a reality TV show, right? But I think, like anything in life that we experience, that we allow ourselves to grow, that we open ourselves to, good people, meaningful experiences, or just really to be teachable. We can learn, we can grow, we can be exposed, and at the end of the day, we are confronted with true honesty that causes growth. I know I've had a very similar experience. I was 29, was interning with two other women who pulled me aside one day and just told me that I wasn't being present, I wasn't engaging with the group, I wasn't participating fully in the experience of the internship, and it was a very meaningful moment in my life. That honesty that they were willing to share with me, because I'm sure, like the show The Bachelor, The Bachelorette, you see it could go either way. You have these hard experiences, and it could bring out the best in you. It can force you to grow in ways you didn't think was possible. You become more of yourself. You know more about yourself. You therefore desire more deeper relationships and to bring more of that self forward. Or it could go the other way, where you just dig in and become more ingrained in your current belief system, and you continually to deflect and avoid confrontation. You try not to be honest with yourself and with others, and you try to act like you got it all figured out. That's a very common thing that most of us do, and I could say, speaking from experience, men, to be exposed like that, it is what it is. It's exposing. Therefore, we feel weak. We don't feel like men. We feel like we're lacking in something. And, so therefore it hurts. It doesn't feel good. So therefore, we try to avoid those things. But it is those things that cause growth, that cause us to be better men. Because that's, at the end of the day, that's the goal. That's what we want to be. And that takes confrontation. That takes honesty from others. That takes us being willing to know ourselves and to know others. And allow others to know us. That's probably, at the end of the day, I think what Ben was saying. And very similar experience for me. And I think it woke a lot up inside of me where, I was definitely hiding. Hiding in plain sight is a way to say it. And it's a very lonely place. It really is. It's a place that's full with anxiety. It's full of even boredom. But it's a very lonely place too. So, I mean, I'm not sure what more I can add to what Ben said, but I think it's kind of overused today it's I'm trying to think the best way to say this, but yeah, the idea of vulnerability, that we need to be more exposed, more open to people around us, allow them to get to know us, because it truly does lead to our benefit, I think is probably the best way to say it. You can even be selfish in that content. So I guess the next big question is, how do we do that? How do we allow ourselves to be known? How do we be vulnerable of something we've never really done in our life? And especially like Ben, I think even my own story is, I don't know if you intentionally position yourself or you're just choosing to live life. You go live life, you put yourself in situations and you get around people and you allow yourself to be confronted. That's tough, especially most people we probably work with or around. We may not trust their opinion. We may not trust the way they see things. We may discredit them very easily, but I still think it's valuable to receive the criticism, the feedback, the confrontation, the honesty, really. I think we all as human beings can really, we can discern honesty from manipulation, or at least let's hope so. And we can receive it. We can chew up the meat, spit out the bones. And I think even if someone's like 20% right in their confrontation of you and their opinion, I think it should be received. I think that's up to you to refute the rest of that isn't true, right? And how to do that and how to do that in a healthy way. And I guess it all depends on the person who's giving it, whether it matters how you respond. But I think someone who knows us, who's been around us, who's seen us, I think, you got to take the good with the bad and hear what they have to say, apply it, change it, and maybe not dismiss the rest, but address it in a way. So, and I think allowing yourself to be known can be tricky, because then there are people who will abuse that, who think that is just verbally vomiting on people, which is not the answer. We want people to feel, to see us, not to be annoyed by us. That's probably the best way to put it. They don't want to dread you opening up. They want to feel trusted and valued when we open up, when we actually allow people in. And we're giving them a platform to speak in our life and to love us, not to give us advice or tell us what to do, but to love us. Really, because that's the end of the day. If we truly believe that's what matters about loving and being loved by people, of experiencing truth in love, and I think, I think that's an interesting thought. So that's something that me and Ben also talked about, and we talked about it more in the context of church, of how to speak truth in love, and that most of us experience truth outside of love. We experience truth with a hidden agenda behind it, which is always conscious when we are confronting, being honest, giving feedback, and even receiving it, right? I think as human beings, I said this early in the podcast, right, that we probably know when we're experiencing genuine honesty. History may say differently, but I think we got to recognize, is there a level of control, anxiety? I think there's two different levels of discomfort you got to be aware of when you're experiencing honesty from another person. If you're like me, if you've listened to the rise and fall of Mars Hill, there's a lot of red flags there, most of which you should probably humble you and realize, man, you could easily be influenced and put in that position. It's just hard to be honest, and it's hard to receive honesty in this life, but I think it's a necessary thing. And I think we can, when we start really getting to know ourselves, that's probably the value. We can then start discerning whether it's true honesty that grows us, that benefits us, versus honesty that is there to manipulate and control. Because usually that has a level of anxiety, fear to it. Where true honesty, it will come with a wave of. I know when I experienced that kind of honesty, I felt the love of God. I felt this invitation to step out, to be more of myself, to be more present, to be more intentional with my life. I literally felt that like call, that potential, that desire to be more, to be better. I didn't feel the desire to hide, to feel shame, to lower myself, to bring less of myself, to stop doing this and be more submissive. Sounds too live a word, but like subservient to someone and their opinion of me. I was more of bringing more of myself to the table. So I'm very thankful for the experience that I had. That was 8 years ago. I wouldn't be here today if I didn't experience it. It allowed me to be more honest with myself, honest with others, to be more intentional in everyday work and life. And it's just kind of been a journey since then. Everything didn't automatically come into place, but they definitely started changing. So I'm very thankful for those two women. They know who they are. So, I think that's all I got today. Hope you go back and listen to episode 65, how to discover your path forward. Ben I think he was really great, very helpful. And I just encourage y'all to go listen to that, as well as subscribe to the mailing list on the website, and as well as on Apple, and follow on Spotify. Yeah, and I'll see y'all next time. Thanks for listening today. If you're feeling stuck in your daily life, career, relationships, please go to mentorforge.com/coaching. I'd love to help you out. I'm building my book of business right now in Birmingham, Alabama. We also offer virtual sessions, so go to mentorforge.com/coaching, and I'd love to help you define your purpose and figure out more of who you are today.